Okay, continuing on with the same theme of our self-portraits, we're going to start talking about the next kind of feature, which is the nose. And to do the nose, now again, everybody's nose shape is going to be a little different. So I'm just going to flip this over here. You might have more of an elongated type nose, or you might have that perfect ball or round shape, and then the outside shapes are just piecing in for nostrils, but different shaped noses. Again, it's based on gender, ethnicity, and just the age of the person that you're sketching. So as you're doing your self-portrait, you want to refer back to a mirror or a picture of yourself so you can really pay attention to how your nose is actually shaped. So flipping back over to this side, I'm just going to sketch in kind of the basic formula for drawing a nose. It's always different. There's 1,001 different ways to do just about anything, but this is the easiest way I've found to kind of explain it. So I want to make sure you can see. I'm just going to sketch in kind of 3 circle shapes. 1 for the main ball of the nose, and then 2 for the outside circles. And I'm going to draw this in very, very lightly because I do have to erase this in the end. With the nose, depending what your light source is, you might not even see the outside bridge of the nose. So you got to pay attention to light source and everything. It really is about shading with the nose. So there's not really hard lines. There's only a couple of them that we're actually going to add in. So first one, I'm just going to draw in kind of a loosely shape a ball for the center part of the nose, and then 2 smaller circles just to kind of give me an idea, and I'm kind of adjusting this as I go, just to give me an idea of where I want to place the nostrils. Again, drawing very, very light so you can erase this later on. So this would be the outside of the nostrils, and this would be that small, or that, I'm sorry, that bigger ball of the nose. From there, we're just going to define the outside edges of the nostrils. I'm just darkening down like in 2 parentheses, small little curved lines onto the outside of the nostrils. And then like a little wavy curved line that just tells me where the bottom of the nostrils is going to go and where the bottom of the nose is going to fall. I'm just lightly putting in this sort of kind of line like this. It's a wavy, curvy line, changes each time. So just lightly putting that in. And then I can go ahead and using my eraser, erase some of these lines here. Like I don't need the insides of the circle. So I'm going to go ahead and erase those and get those out of my way. Now I'm not necessarily erasing the top part of that. Like on this side, you can still see where the 2 pieces came together. That sort of represents where the nostril joins the rest of the nose. I'm going to get these lines out of my way too. Okay, and then I don't need the center part of the upper part of the nose because that is where the bridge of the nose is going to go ahead and start. So you can see it's starting to take shape. Still has a lot of work, and I'm just using a regular number 2 pencil. A blending stump is always my friend working on these. A drawing pencil, this one is a 6B drawing pencil, and then my trusty little eraser here. So back down to the bottom of the nose, I think I am going to switch over to my 2B pencil, and I'm just going to kind of reshape this into more of that curvy line and define those outside nostrils again. And then for the bridge of the nose, I'm not liking how much this side is coming out, so I might still, I don't know, go back in and reshape a little bit more. For the bridge of the nose, I'm going to go ahead and just mark in from where the side of the nostril is. Just going to lightly kind of sketch this in. And the bridge of the nose, changes as far as how long it is. Again, based on the person. And sometimes, depending on your light source, you might not even see the bridge of the nose. So I'm just lightly penciling that in, and then I'm imagining where the eyes are going to be coming up from out there. This is still really bothering me, so I'm going to go ahead and just reshape that right away. I do want it to read as being more symmetrical with this side of the nose. And I am going a little bit darker so you're able to see it on the demo here, but you're going to keep it nice and light. I can go ahead and erase that part now too. So this is really where I start going in with my blending stump. I've got quite a bit of lead on here, so on the back side of this paper, I could just clean off some of that extra lead. All right, so I'm ready to go ahead and start defining the nose a little more. So I'm just going to take this side here and I'm bringing that up. I'm just adding in a few little shading marks. And I'm going to bring up the side of the nose. I could still play and thin that out a little. This is reading pretty dark to me, so I want to shade it in, and I'm imagining I'm shading in like a sphere. Same thing we did at the beginning of the class with our technique sheets. We're shading in the different shapes. And the bottom side of the nose is going to have a little bit more shading. I want to make sure that the nostrils are connecting here. This is where I imagine the socket of one of the eyes to start. And then I'm going to bring up some of that shading right onto the bridge of the nose, leaving a little area for a highlight, because that's really where, if the light was shining, that's what it's going to hit on, is the bridge of the nose and the tip of the nose, and just a little bit off to each of the sides. I want to make sure I'm connecting all of those pieces. And here is where I imagine that little space between the nose and the beginning part of the lip. So I might even, just so I know my own placement, I might even just add in a little bit there. Now I'm just blending out the extra that I have on my blending stump here. Push in a little bit harder. Now you could do the same thing with a piece of paper toweling, but I just find it easier to work with the blending stump for such small areas. Okay, again, blending as if I'm creating a sphere. If you go a little too dark in one of the areas, that's where it's nice to have your kneaded eraser, where you can go back in and pull some of that lead back out of your piece. So I'm just going to tap it in along the bridge of the nose and a little bit down onto the ball. And I might even just bring a little highlight onto the nostrils there. So I could still continue working on this for at least another 20 minutes or so, defining. I can go back in with my regular number 2 pencil and just kind of define some of those nostril areas. I feel like this is still a little dark, that I could play in with the shadows here. And this area here is reading a little dark to me. But it's all about getting things to start popping up off the page, putting in some contrast, defining your areas, and going in and just reworking it until it's reading the way you want it to read. And that's really the basics of getting the nose in position. From here, I would go ahead and just start blocking in where I would maybe want my Cupid's bow of my lip. Again, I love working with the blending stumps just to lightly sketch, kind of sketch in where I want the rest of the features to fall. And I can imagine where the eye is going to be starting right here. making sure it's symmetrical. I could use my blending stump to kind of bring that same positioning over and start leaving a little spot for those eyes to kind of go into. And that tells me where I can add in more of my shading and start bringing that down. Okay, as always, please let me know if you have any questions. And don't forget, you start with your 3 basic shapes, that center circle, and then 2 smaller circles that represent the nostrils onto either side, trying to keep it as symmetrical as you can. And really, if you take a look at this design, the darkest areas are going to be the outside edges of the nostrils right here, and then the very bottom part of the nostrils. But no longer should I be seeing nostrils like this. That is only going to happen if you are looking directly up your nose, or if the photograph is a shot directly up somebody's nose, are you going to see more of these oval, full oval shapes? Otherwise, it just comes down to hints for the viewer as to what they're looking at. Okay. All right, as always, if you got any questions, please let me know. Make sure you're practicing, and we'll talk to you later.